Hey there, this is LaQuita with QuitaBugHandmaids.com. Thank you so much for joining me today for another Stampin' Up! Tutorial, and welcome to my second free card kit for the month of September 2019. So for this free card kit, I am featuring the new Spooktacular Bash stamp set. Such a cute stamp set from the new 2019 holiday catalog. And this stamp set is available in a bundle. And remember, with the bundles, when you buy the stamp set with either the punch or the dies, or sometimes it's an embossing folder, you save 10%. So they are always on sale, which is fantastic. So with the bundle, you actually get the ornate frames dies. These are amazing, you guys. So versatile. The possibilities are endless. You are not limited to just using them with the Spooktacular Bash stamp set. You can fit so many different sentiments in these, and you can see just all of the variety in this set. I love it. Let me see. There are 11 dies in this set, so fantastic deal. Again, 10% off if you purchase the bundle in my online store. So remember, all you have to do to receive my free Spooktacular Bash card kit as a gift in the mail from me to you is simply place a minimum $40 order in my online Stampin' Up! Store. That's $40 before tax and shipping. I do have a direct link to my online store just below the video in the video description, so place your orders over there. Be sure to use the host code when you place your order. Just don't use that code if your order is $150 or more. You will still qualify to receive my free card kit, and you will earn Stampin' rewards. So you can find that host code somewhere here on the screen, probably right about here. So let's go ahead and jump right into the video, you guys. I'm gonna walk you through the free card kit. We will assemble all of the projects together, and I hope you have a great time. So let's get started. So in addition to using the Spooktacular Bash stamp set, you can find the full supply list of everything that I'll be using to complete this free card kit listed down below in the video description with clickable links, and it's also over on today's coordinating blog post, which I have linked down below in the video description as well. And just so that you can see those ornate dies, ornate frames dies up close, you guys, these are amazing. And like I said, so versatile. You can use them with a variety of sentiments, not just with this stamp set. So I really, really love these. So let's jump right in. I want to get going with you guys. So when you get your kit from me, it comes with just the consumable supplies you will need to make one of each of the projects included in the kit. So there are 3 cards and 1 3D project for you. And then there are envelopes and also a full color PDF that has all of the measurements for you. So I am so excited to get started. We have got some really, really cute projects and just some fun tips and tricks as well as we go through this kit. So let's get going. So I've taken out everything that I need for the first card, and I do just want to remind you this kit is only available until September the 30th. So make sure that you get your $40 minimum order in by September the 30th, 2019 to get this kit. And then I've just got some scrap paper here because we are going to need it, and I am going to bring in this Granny Apple Green layer. I've got Memento Tuxedo Black ink here. I'm going to go ahead and get both of my images ready. So we are going to stamp the cute little Dracula and the mummy, and we are going to create a really fun repeated vertical background. So I'm just going to get my stamps ready and move this over. Actually, I think I'm just going to move this off to the left. Okay, so let me show you, whoops, bumped my light. Okay, so let me show you what we're gonna do. So I am gonna start over here off to the left with my mummy. I'm just going to ink it up, stamp it off because I want kind of a lighter distressed look. And then I'm just going to stamp this little guy off the edge a little bit here over on the left, just like that. That is perfect. And then bring in my little Dracula guy. And then I'm going to stamp off and then stamp right above that mummy. And I'm actually just lining up the bottom of the stamp a little bit with the top of this image, and I might even move it down a little bit lower, like close my spacing up just a little bit when I do my next one. Yeah, so right about there. Yeah, that looks good. So I'm just gonna go in and do this over and over here, creating this fun little background. So now, actually I'm gonna go back to Dracula because I don't want to have a mummy by a mummy. And I'm going to put this right there, whoops. And then you just keep going, stamping off and building up this background. Okay, so you can see I have stamped my background. I'm just gonna move that scratch paper out of the way. We're gonna set this aside to dry, and then I'm gonna bring in this piece of Whisper White, which I die cut using one of those Ornate Frames dies, and it's just got this great little kind of stitched outline around it. I really like that. So we're gonna stamp our sentiment, and we're gonna go with Have a Spooktacular Halloween. And this sentiment is actually great to stamp on the inside of any of your projects that you create, any of your cards you create with this stamp set. This is a great interior sentiment as well. Perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna set that to the side to dry, and now we are going to make these little images just pop right off of this Granny Apple Green cardstock. We're gonna use a white watercolor pencil. This is from the watercolor pencil assortment 1 that we have, so we're gonna use this. Okay, so I have just zoomed you in, and what I'm gonna do is, for both of the images, I am just going to add a little bit of white on their eyes, just to make those little eyes stand out more. And then on the mummy, we're also just going to turn the pencil sideways and just enhance this wrap that he's got going here. Add a little bit, and you can go heavier in some places, lighter in some. We just want this to kind of stand out a little bit more. And then let me do the eyeballs here on Dracula. So I'm just going to go in and do this over this entire stamped background. So you can see that great pop of white on there. I really love how this background looks. So now what I want to do with this is I'm going to flip this over so that my stamping is face down. I'm going to come in with my bone folder, and I am just going to kind of curl up the edges just a little bit because I want them to lift up off of my card base. Okay, so just like that, you can see how they are just curled a little bit. For our card base, we've got a piece of Granny Apple Green as well. Just creasing that, and now I'm going to use liquid glue, which I'm using liquid glue for most of the cards, no, all of the projects, as well as dimensionals. So I'm just going to add a little bit of liquid glue, but only in the middle because I do want this to be nice and lifted on those edges. And then I'm also going to just twist it a little bit. I don't want to lay it on exactly straight, so I'm just kind of twisting it so that's a little bit offset, and there we go. Okay, very cute. Then you've got a piece of basic black cardstock, which I punched out using the Starburst punch, and I am just going to grab a couple of dimensionals and put them on the back of there, and then we'll also put a couple on the back of our sentiment. Okay, so we can just pop this little Starburst. I'm gonna put it right there, and then I'll just put my sentiment right over top. Make sure I'm getting that straight. Yep, that looks straight, and I'll press it down. And there you have it. There is the first card in the kit. So fun. I really, really love this background. So cute. All right, so for card number 2, I am going to start by stamping my sentiment. So I've got my Memento Tuxedo Black ink, and I'm stamping my favorite sentiment from this stamp set, which is So Glad We're Such Ghoul Friends. I love that. So I'm just gonna stamp this in the center of this little die cut, and this little die cut label is from that Ornate Frames dies. Of course, I used those for the entire kit. There we go, that looks great. And I'm gonna leave this ink out. And I've got one of our Stampin' sponges here that I have just cut into a little less than 1/4. And I have just put some basic black cardstock around it stapled it, and I'm going to be doing some inking using this sponge and my Tuxedo Memento black ink. So I've got some of the Monster Bash Designer Series paper, love this paper, and we are just going to dab that sponge in the ink, and we're gonna add a little bit of black sponging all around the edges and in the corners of this designer paper. Okay, so I think that's pretty good. You can do as much or as little as you would like, or not at all if you choose. So hopefully you can kind of see that in the corners and on the edges there of that designer paper, and it just adds a little bit of distressing and kind of an antique-y vintage feel that I really, really like for this designer paper and this whole kit. Okay, so now we can start putting this card together. So I've got a smoky slate card base here. I'm just going to fold it over and crease it. Then we are going to take this piece here that we just inked and do the same thing we did on the first card. You'll see this on all 3 cards, and that's just curl those corners. Again, I want it lifted and just not laying flat. Just really love that look, okay? Then I'm gonna put liquid glue just in the center on the back. And then I've got a layer of basic black cardstock, and I am going to offset my designer paper on that basic black just like we did on the first card. I'm not going to lay it perfectly straight. I think that looks pretty good. Then you've got some of this beautiful scalloped ribbon from the Spooktacular Bash Suite. I love this ribbon. So this is black ribbon, and we are just going to add this across the lower portion here of these 2 layers. So I think right about here is where I want it. So I'm just gonna flip this over, and I've actually just got a couple pieces of tear and tape here that I'm using to stick that down just like so. And then I'll also go ahead and just peel those backings off of the tear and tape as well. And then I'll just add a little bit of liquid glue in the center. Doesn't really take much, liquid glue holds so well. And then again, I'm gonna offset this layer onto the front of the card base as well. Let me do that again. Okay. Looks good, just like that. Then you've got this pumpkin pie piece of cardstock, which I die cut using those ornate dies. So you might notice there are some pieces that are still in there. If you just flick, just flick, they'll pop right out. Or you could take your paper piercing tool and poke them out that way. Or if you have a die brush, you could brush it over and get them out that way. Whatever works best for you. Okay, so that looks good. Then I'm going to add dimensionals onto the back of my sentiment, and onto the back of this I am actually going to add some edge pieces. So I'll just snip off a few of these, and I'm just going to angle them just so that they hold down that ribbon. All right, so let's take this, get the backings off of there. Go ahead and pop my sentiment on top. Scoot it up a little bit. Okay, and then take these off. Okay, and then I'll just put my sentiment right about here and give that a press. There we go. And there you have it. That finishes up card number 2. I love all of that dimension. Love it. All right, so let's get started here on card number 3. So I've got my Memento Tuxedo black ink, and I'm gonna start by stamping my spooky sentiment here on this little die cut ornate tag. So this one also has the little stitching around the edges. Really cute. So we'll just stamp that spooky right on there. Okay, that looks good. Then I'm going to bring in my little mummy again, and we will ink him up. And we are going to stamp him on this piece of crumb cake that I die cut using those ornate dies. I'm going to flip it over, flip it upside down, or face down. Put it on top of your inked up stamp. Bring in another stamp and stamp that image down. So just a little tip on stamping on pre-die cut pieces, and there you go. Now on this piece of crumb cake, I am going to bring in a piece of scratch paper here, and we're gonna stamp this little bottle image, and we're gonna do it kind of like how we did on the first card. So I'm just going to ink up. I'm gonna stamp off here, and down here at the bottom, I'm gonna go ahead and stamp these little bottles. And that just gives you a lighter, more antique-y look to me. Stamp it off again, stamp it down, ink it up, stamp it off, and then I just want one more of those taller bottles, just like that. Ink it up, go off the edge a little bit, stamp it down, ink it up, and we'll do one more. Okay, ink it up, stamp it off, and then we will do one more little set of bottles just right there. I think that looks pretty good. All right, then I'm gonna bring my sponge back, and I'm just going to go in and just kind of ink up those edges just like we did on the last card. Then I'm even just gonna take the leftover ink that's in my sponge and kind of go over those little jars a little bit, okay? Alrighty. Now we're going to do our mummy the same way we did on the first card. Just add a little bit of white watercolor pencil here to the eyes, and then go over his little bandages here, little mummy wrap. Okay, I think he looks pretty good. So now let's start putting together this card. So I've got a crumb cake card base here. Just going to give that a nice crease, and with my bone folder again, I'm gonna flip this layer face down and curl those edges, just like so. Liquid glue on the back, just in the center, and then we're going to offset this on our card front so that it's not sitting on there straight, okay? Then I've got these three little punched circles here. This is from some of that designer series paper. Oh, you could flip it over, do it this way if you want, but I'm using this side. So this is from the Monster Bash designer series paper, and I'm just gonna take this, and I am going to use snail adhesive for this part, and not gonna press all the way yet. Then I've got a basic black circle here. Put some snail adhesive on that. I think I'll have that go right there. But again, I'm not pressing these down yet. I want to get them exactly where I want. And then you've got a little vellum circle. I'm going to have that go right there. And then I am going to want my mummy, and then my sentiment right about here. So yeah, I think that looks pretty good. So I'm going to give everything a press. Then we're just going to pop some dimensionals onto the back of the mummy, and also on the sentiment. I'll just put the little mummy right about here and cover up that adhesive that we've got on our vellum. That way you can't see it. And then I'm just going to put one dimensional on the left side of the sentiment, because it's gonna, the right side will sit on top of the mummy, so we don't need a dimensional there. I want everything to be pretty level, so we'll just put one on the left, and there you go. And that finishes up card number 3. Isn't that fun? I love this card. Love it. Okay, so for our 3D project, we are going to use the cute little coffin treat boxes. I love these treat boxes. So with my Memento Tuxedo Black ink, I'm going to go ahead and stamp the sentiment for this little treat box, which I chose creepy. And again, I've got another one of those cute little ornate frames die cuts that has the kind of stitched border around the edge, so creepy. Okay, then we've got this little smoky slate die cut from the ornate frames, and I'm gonna bring baby Dracula back in, ink him up really, really well. Okay, and then we're gonna take our die cut, flip it over, lay it on top of this stamp, and then press and hold. And I want to make sure that ink absorbs really well into that smoky slate cardstock. So I'm just going to hold it for a little bit here. Okay. Oh yeah, that looks great. I like that. So I'm going to let that ink just kind of dry a little bit, and I'll set this to the side for now. And let's go ahead and go on to our little coffin box. So you've got two pieces here. You've got one that has small tabs, one that has large tabs. This is actually the bottom of the coffin, and then this is the lid. So what we are going to do is I'm going to show you how to assemble the bottom. Since the tabs are larger, it'll be easier for me in the video. I've already got a top assembled. Voila! So there is our top ready to go, the magic of video. And now what you want to do when you are putting together the bottom and the top is just fold in on all of these score lines and tabs. It'll just make things go together a little bit easier if you do that before you start trying to glue everything. Now, I also found that liquid glue was the easiest for me because it allows me to kind of move things around, get everything lined up well, but it does take a little bit of time because you want to press and hold for a second. So it's up to you what adhesive you use, but I'm going to go with liquid glue again. So I'm going to start right here and just put a little bit on the tab. I'm trying not to put too much because I don't want it to squeeze out everywhere, but then you just line it up, and then I'm just gently holding for a few seconds. Okay, so that is dry. So now I'm going to do the same thing on these tabs. So put some more adhesive, more liquid glue. Then I'm going to bring it in, line it up, bring it in, whoops, line it up. I'm going to try to hold both of these sides at the same time. There we go. Okay, and now we've just got these back two tabs left. So I'm just going to put some glue there and pinch these in. Line it up, and then I'm just going to hold it. Okay, so there is the completed bottom, and then we've got our completed lid, and then all you have to do is lay that right over top. And look at that, there's your little coffin treat box. It's really cute. I really, really like it. Okay, so now we've got another one of those ornate frames die cuts here in the Granny Apple Green color. So I just flicked out those extra little pieces, and again I'm going to go to my liquid glue, put a little on the back, and I left one little piece in there. There we go. And then you can put this wherever you'd like, but I'm going to put it right here at the center towards the top. So right about there is where I want it. Okay, and then I'm going to bring in Dracula and do his little eyeballs again, the whites of his eyes, dimensionals on the back of him. 2 should do. And I'll just center him up here. Pop him there. Okay, and then I've brought back my Memento Tuxedo Black and my sponge here, and I just want to add a little bit of sponging around this creepy because it was just a little bit too bright of a white for me for this little coffin. I wanted it to be a little bit more distressed looking. So just ink up those edges a bit. And then I'm actually going to kind of twist it up a little bit, make my creepy look creepy. So just twist it up just a little bit, and then I'll add a little bit of liquid glue here towards the top. And I'll just pop my creepy right here off to the side. All right, so there it is, and you can see just how curvy that creepy is from bending it around. So I really love it. It's such a cute little treat box. So cute. Okay, so that finishes the kit. All right, so here it is, you guys, my Spooktacular Bash free card kit. I absolutely love this kit. It is so dang on cute, and I hope that you love it as well. So don't forget, you can get this kit for free as a gift in the mail from me from simply placing a minimum $40 order in my online Stampin' Up! Store. That's $40 between September the 16th through September the 30th, 2019. Be sure to use the host code that I've got here on the screen. Just don't use that code if your order is $150 or more. You'll still qualify to receive the kit, and you will earn Stampin' rewards. And these kits will be shipping out the first week of October so that you have them in time to create them and then to also get them out for Halloween. So I hope that you guys love it. I really, really do. So thank you guys so much. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll be back soon with another tutorial. Bye now.